Hello there. What's going on, everybody? We're going to talk Armada today, and we're going to be talking about rumors. Now, I don't usually go too deep into rumors. I don't like to give rumors a whole lot of credibility, but these have spread quite a bit. And what we're talking about is some of the 1.5 changes or nerfs that are presumably coming for some of the titles and upgrade cards in Star Wars Armada in the upgrade card collection pack. Now, a lot of people on different forums and discords and chat rooms and all kinds of stuff are talking about these, and I figured it was time to maybe talk about them a little bit, but I definitely want to caveat all of this with this just rumor right now. Nothing here has been confirmed or leaked by a reliable source, so while some of this stuff might be true, we might have parts of it that are distorted, we might have parts of it that are inaccurate, or we might have not the whole picture. Maybe we have something that's translated incorrectly or something like that. So we're still really not sure about how all of this is really going to go. But some of these things do seem reasonable, at least partially reasonable. So first one I want to talk about, because a couple of these are titles, and they definitely make sense. A lot of the early titles have already seen some errata, so we're probably going to see some more errata, possibly. Avenger is one of the ones that people are talking about a lot. And the rumor right now is that Avenger is going to be changed to where you can actually spend one exhausted defense token, as opposed to not being able to spend any exhausted defense tokens. Now, I initially thought, well, that kind of defeats the entire purpose of Avenger, because what Avenger generally can do is if you set it up with the combo of the boarding team to go over there, wipe out all, make all their defense tokens orange, and now I shoot them and they can't spend any, that gives me that big, 13 damage attack that completely gets through and shuts them down. But if they can brace, then that that makes it a completely survivable attack. And so that's kind of a bummer. So I'm not a big fan of that being a thing. But again, maybe that was too strong. I know a lot of people for a long time ran Avenger to do just that. You're going to get that. And the thing is, Avenger is not a once per game thing, but the boarding team was a once per game thing. So it was like, maybe you do it. You get that once per game, like that almost guaranteed one ship removal. And then after that, for late game, it still stays pretty strong because you can use it again on maybe turns 4, 5, and 6, just naturally to stop some of the late game braces against when they're already exhausted. So that I can see it maybe being like a little too powerful for that one alpha strike. But it really what kind of is the caveat here? This is all rumor. Is if they can still spend one defensive token that's exhausted. Do you still have to exhaust Avenger? Is its cost going to change? There's a lot of, so I'm really not sure if that one is accurate or if it's only partially correct. I would think that if you could still spend a exhausted defense token, well, then maybe Avenger doesn't need to be an exhaust. All right, because if you spend your brace, well, next shot you're probably dead anyway. Because you're not going to be able to brace again. I mean, unless you're a ship that happens to have 2 braces. But and it makes me wonder how much did the Superstar Destroyer play into this? Because this guy going up against a Superstar Destroyer, being able to shut down all of the that's shutting down all that bracing and all of that kind of stuff, like that could be a pretty big deal. So maybe this is maybe that's accurate. Maybe there's a little more information too, because I'm also curious about points costs with all this, and in none of these leaks is there points cost talk. So that's also something kind of interesting. The next one is one that I think a lot of people expected, and again, I'm not 100% sure how accurate this is too. But the rumor going around about a new version of Demolisher is that Demolisher is going to be changed roughly to say that your second shot must occur after you move, which is particularly interesting because that was the whole problem with Demolisher. So at first glance, I was like, that can't be right. And so I think you have to look at it. If the rumor's true, it might be worth looking at a little deeper. I'm like, well, now you don't have the option of doing of double arcing somebody up close and getting a 1-2 punch, because you'll only be able to attack once. And that's and so like that gives it a drawback. Now, granted, it's still pretty strong because you're still going to be able to, move and then shoot. And then if you activate next turn, you'll be able to, if you last in first out, you'll be able to shoot again. But you're not going to be able to do a 1, 2, 3. And I think that's really the big thing. It might mean also that Demolishers start running slow. They start running at speed 1. So this way they can still kind of get you twice, right? So like that's a big maybe, but I'm not sure because it still breaks an important rule of the game. But it would also have a drawback in that you cannot fire twice before moving, which maybe that's true. Maybe that's how it is. Or maybe there's a little more to it than that. Maybe it's a once per game thing. Maybe it's you exhaust it and then you do it this way. Again, when there are only rumors, it's really hard to kind of report on them, but I thought I would kind of bring it up to you guys and talk about it because I think that's pretty interesting. So we'll have to see. Next one is another very, very popular and highly highly talked about title, Yavaris. Yavaris, I definitely thought Yavaris was going to be changed. The biggest problem with Yavaris is that I feel like if they ever want to do any more squadrons for the Rebels, or fine-tune or errata any squadrons, they always have to balance it against, no matter how strong a squadron's attack becomes, you always have to balance it against Yavaris, because that means that squadron can always attack twice, possibly every round. And so, whereas other squadrons can't, like the Imperial squadrons don't ever have to consider that, right? So is that really, so maybe that's the thing. So the rumor going on for Yavaris is instead of attacking twice, they just add a die when they attack, which is still strong and still keeps to the spirit of Yavaris. And I believe it's if they don't move. So I think you still have the same type of restrictions, and you're just adding a die. Now, again, one of the problems with it being rumors is like there's a lot of questions. Is it a die of any color? Is it a die that's already in the attack pool? I mean, a lot of there's different mechanics that do things different ways. There are some mechanics that definitely say it must already be in the attack pool. There's other mechanics that say it can be of any color. Any color might be a little bit broken. But see, it just depends. I don't know. It's Gold Squadron getting a black die would be really cool. But there's a lot of ways that this could go, and I definitely think it stands to it passes the common sense test that Yavaris is probably going to be one of those titles that gets errata. We also know that a significant number, it's a non-zero number. There's going to be a lot of cards getting errata. We don't have an exact number of every single card that gets that's actually getting text changed, and even out of those cards that are getting text changed, we don't know how many of them are like major nerfs or just slight kind of fine tunings, right? Like Thrawn had his text changed a little bit, but mechanically he still works exactly the same. They just changed the text to kind of reflect the new symbology on the game. And so while the text is changed, it doesn't change at all how you work him. He's identical. They just reworded the wording to kind of made it line up with everything else. So we really don't know how many things that are getting errated are going to be changed just to make them fall in line with the new symbology for Armada 1.5, or how many things are actually getting fundamental changes or mechanical changes. Another one is gunnery teams, that this one is supposedly getting changed. There's not a whole lot that I've seen about the specifics of it. I have a feeling it's going to focus on gunnery teams' interaction with huge ships like the Super Star Destroyer. And this is just a guess. I think I've talked about this in some of my other speculation videos. My guess is that it's going to cap attacks from the same hull zone at 2. That's my guess. So you could still use it on a Super Star Destroyer, but you could only attack maybe twice out of the front and 1 out of the side, which honestly, to me, that wouldn't be that big of a deal anyway. It actually could be a benefit. And what I mean by that is if your opponents know that gunnery team doesn't let you attack 3 times out of the front arc now of a Super Star Destroyer, they may be more likely to leave ships in the front arc of the Super Star Destroyer. And that still means you get 2 great shots, So, it's like, because as of right now, people are scrambling to try and get out of the Super Star Destroyer's front arc as is. So, if it gives them a false sense of security, that could be seen as a net positive. again, maybe my head's in the clouds here a little bit, but I mean that's just one idea. I don't know if they'll do that. They may increase the cost. They may, maybe they may make it not equipable on huge ships. That would seem like that would be really harsh, I think, if they did that. But either way, my guess is if they made it a cap of 2 attacks per hull zone, that would also open up a lot of design space for future huge ships. With the Clone Wars coming, we know that there is now the possibility for them to do the Malevolence, which has this huge, awesome ion cannon, right? That could be even a bigger shot than the SSD's front arc. Now, granted, it may be all blue dice. It could be something like 15 blue dice or something like that. Maybe, right? Who knows? But if that were the case and you could fire it 3 times, that could be a little bit problematic. So maybe that's some of the stuff that's influenced the design space for multipliers like Gunnery team. Things that are additive are much easier to manage and maintain as opposed to things that are multipliers. And I think that's what you're looking at with things like Yavaris. Things that, like, hey, everybody gets to go twice. Well, now even our best thing, we have to cut its power by half because it can go twice, right? So whereas if everything just gets 1 extra die, well, then that's more of a measurable metric, and it's easier to game balance against. The last thing is the rumor that cards like Strategic Advisor, and this also includes 2 other cards that came out in the same wave, which I think wave 7, was Bail Organa and Governor Price, that these are all either disappearing, which I don't think that's going to be true because they didn't say anything about removing any cards, or maybe just fundamentally changing totally. Because there's new tokens that are going to be coming out. Everybody's going to be getting those little round tokens that are going to somehow deal with doing basically what Strategic Advisor does now. And so that's going to be pretty interesting to see, because if they want to remove like Strategic Advisor, Bail Organa, and Governor Price were all put into the game to kind of address the action padding advantage of somebody who's got 10 ships or something like that versus somebody who's got only 2 ships. Hey, how can we kind of make this work a little bit better? How can we get a slight advantage here, right? Or at least kind of balance the scale. So they were like band-aids or fixes towards a problem. Well, now if everybody's going to be getting these tokens, these standby tokens or pass tokens or whatever they're called, depending on how they work, we don't, again, and this is one of the questions that we still have to see, depending on how those work, that might eliminate the need for these devices like Strategic Advisor, Governor Price, and Bail Organa. Bail Organa letting you go first, Governor Price letting you go last, with both potentially important things to different solutions to the same problem. And Strategic Advisor giving you a padding somewhere in the middle. So if everybody has a lot more control over activation order, at least a little more reasonable control, like from the spirit of what they said, there's still going to be some advantage to going first or going last and things like that, but it's not going to be as out of control. You won't be heavily incentivized to totally pad out your list with activations, because it'll be presumably it'll be a little harder to do that. Maybe we'll have to see. But if that ends up not being as important of a factor, you still have 3 cards that now you could assign entirely new abilities to. So a Strategic Advisor, Governor Price, and Bail Organa might still exist and just somehow be totally different. I just don't see them throwing out a card. They could put new abilities on there, even if it's something simple like, hey, Strategic Advisor gives you a token of your choice. Discard them, flip them over, you get a token of your choice. Something like that. There's really easy ways to put another officer in there. It's a great opportunity to errata something and make it totally different. It may still work in the spirit of activation padding, while maybe it gives you a bonus if you go first, or maybe it gives you a bonus if you go last, or something like that, right? We don't know, but those do stand the common sense test that if they are changing the way activations work and the way activation advantages work, that these cards won't be necessary in their current form. So We'll have to see. There's certainly lots of rumors going out there, but those are some that I wanted to talk about. If you guys are new here, be sure to leave a comment and click that subscribe button. That's going to enter you to win that $25 Amazon gift card giveaway that's running right now. There's still plenty of time left to enter to win that. If you're interested in more giveaways or learning more about the channel or how to support the channel, click the links down in the description below. You're going to find links to my website that has details on all the giveaways that are running right now. There's also some Legion giveaways running. This stuff is going on all the time. We got more giveaways coming around in December. We've also got links for Patreon and my Discord server, social media, all kinds of links down there. Merchandise store. If you want to help support the channel, there's lots of really good links down in the video description. Be sure to check those out. Big thanks to all of you for hanging out with me and watching these videos. You guys mean the world to me. Big thanks also to my patrons. You guys are amazing. And I could not do this without your continued support. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you so much. And as always, have a great day.